I want to talk about the power that you do have, the radical power of surrender. Not so much that you're powerless, but that you're willing. And I'm just going to say this topic is going to be very nuanced. And so this is a very individualized decision and conversation around how you want to frame this and internalize it. I guess the take home point here is the power of surrender and the power of making this your own. Okay, so you've all heard the trope here. Surrender isn't giving up, it's more of a power move. And in this context, I'm saying it's a power move because you're letting the world and yourself know you're no longer wasting energy trying to control what you can't. And you're instead going to master what you can control. And it's that shift from resistance to willingness. And that's where everything begins to change. Because surrender isn't about becoming, quote, powerless. It's about recognizing where your power actually lives. I want to say that again. Surrender is not about becoming powerless. It's recognizing where your power lives in your mindset, in your habits, in your next choice. That's where your power lives. So the word powerless is pretty loaded in recovery circles, right? A lot of programs, 12 steps, start with the phrase, I am powerless over alcohol. And for some people, during some portions of their recovery, me included, that was a life-saving admission during that time of my life. It was a relief to stop the fight. For other people, and certainly at other areas of your recovery or phases in your recovery, it can feel really confusing and defeating as a woman to say that. Here's the thing though, no one can binge drink alcohol and come out better on the other side for it. It's a toxin. It hijacks your brain. It destroys your body. Nobody has a body that can tolerate alcohol. So in a sense, we're all powerless to the effect that alcohol has on us. I think the danger is when the word slips into our identity in other areas. We start to believe, I'll always be screwed up and broken. I'll always want alcohol. I'll always be one slip away. Or am I going to be this way forever, right? And that's where I want to say, no, not anymore. Because as we rewire our brain and as we recover, we're going to learn how very nuanced this is and the areas that we take our power back. We're also going to learn what it means to be rewired sober and what it means to be in recovery and to not succumb to that belief that you're always going to be broken. Now, I don't think it's any secret. I don't call myself an alcoholic anymore. Not because I'm ashamed and not because I'm above it or I hit some imaginary threshold. Personally, I no longer identify with that version of me who is obsessed with drinking. I mean, that version of me, she was hurting. She was lost in pain. She was broken. She didn't know all the things she knows now. And now I know the truth that alcohol's not a reward, right? I understand that cravings are messengers, they're smoke signals, they're not commands. I don't need to drink to survive anything, not even grief or tremendous stress or tremendous joy, because I've rewired my brain. And more importantly, I've rewired my identity. And that is not about willpower. It's an embodied truth. I've become the kind of woman who doesn't crave chaos. I don't need a buffer. We are the kind of women sober who don't get seduced by the lie that alcohol is the real power. and we're not fighting that urge day after day after day, but we're becoming the kind of woman who doesn't get tricked into ever drinking again, doesn't want to ever drink again, because you know exactly what it costs. So you don't have to call yourself an alcoholic to stay sober, or even to have surrendered to what it is, poison. You just have to really stay in integrity with the woman you're becoming. And none of that is powerless, right? None of that is weakness. That is the most radical form of power. From a neuroscience perspective, of course, I'm going to go here. Surrender actually changes the game. When you resist reality, telling yourself, like, this isn't fair, it shouldn't be this way, it shouldn't feel this way, or I just want to go back, your nervous system stays in that mode, sort of a fight or flight or freeze, over and over and over again. But when you accept it, this is where I am, I don't love it, but I'm willing to be with it, you send a new message to your brain. And that message says, it's safe. We're safe enough to learn. We're willing. And that's when neuroplasticity kicks in. Every time you pause instead of react, every time you feel an urge and you don't run, every time you say, I'm willing to face this, you're rewiring. On my left wrist, I have a tattoo in Sanskrit. Satnam. It means truth is my identity. And that is my way of saying, this is my reality. I won't resist it. This is who I am, and I'm safe here. There's a quote by Marianne Williamson mentioned in Holly Whitaker's book, Quit Like a Woman. I'm a lover of Marianne Williamson. And of course, in Miracles, I have quotes all over my body. So this was something I thought I would bring here. And she says, until your knees hit the floor, you're just playing at life. And on some level, you know you're just playing. Well, what does that actually mean? It means until you stop pretending, until you drop the performance, until you stop trying to outrun your pain with productivity or perfectionism or fucking Pinot Grigio, you're not actually living, you're just managing. And this moment, this surrender, this is part of where your knees hit the floor. As they say, it's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. That's where the pretending stops. And that's where the real work begins. Because when you finally are ready to admit, I can't keep doing it this old way, something fucking sacred happens. You become available for real change. You become grounded in truth, not in performance. And you become radically open to healing. The power is in the pattern interrupt here. So surrender helps you interrupt that old pattern of feel a lot of pain, drink, numb, regret, repeat, right? That's your old pattern. Surrender helps you say, okay, I feel a lot of pain, but I'm going to pause. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to feel it. Sucks, but I'm going to choose differently, right? DSD, do something different. Pattern interrupt. It's messy at first. It's not linear, but it's real. And that is how the brain rewires. So please let go of that idea that you're weak because it feels hard. Let go of the idea, or be willing to let go of the idea that it's always going to be this way, that you're always going to be broken, and be willing to accept that you're strong just because you're facing it sober. You know, nothing about this journey says you have to be fearless. It just says you have to be willing. And I want you to really be open to the idea that healing can happen, a full, joyous, beautiful healing. And you don't have to fight to figure it all out. You can let in this truth that you're on a healing journey and it's going to unfold how it will, right? Let in permission to grieve the old shit, to let it be messy and confusing. Also let in the possibility that you're building a new life here, a new identity. Now that's surrender, right? That is your radical rewire, and that's recovery.